It's Mashko.
Well, as we started in Czech Republic in 2003, the site of the service has been operated by a Polish company, Poland. In the beginning, we did not need to have our own company here in Czech Republic, but later, as we grew, so we definitely had to establish a company here in Czech Republic, and we made it last year in March. And yeah, it's not easy if you are on the level, as we were on the level, we already have been charging fees. So I would really recommend to start with the local company in the very beginning. We will avoid a lot of troubles and difficulties.
Okay. Gabby's any?
Well, we haven't been through any big legal issues, but we realized, as was mentioned, the problem, another problem, issue of licensing, which is very important in our case. When you supply, provide any kind of software, you should have a very clear idea how to do it and do it in a very professional way. Hire good lawyers.
Okay, thank you. So my first round is done. So I give the microphone to you. Does anybody have a question? Yes.
Hello, my name is Paul, and I own a custom Web 2.0 mobile application development company in Krakow. Over the years, I've seen a dramatic change in the labor market, and I was wondering to what extent, when you're considering expansion, do you take the local labor market in your areas of opportunity into consideration from an operational standpoint?
Question two.
Okay. To anybody who's not just marketed to a different region, but actually set up a local presence.
Okay, guys.
Can you explain a bit? I don't think I get the question.
Well, for example, I've seen salaries, average salaries rise by over 50% just over the course of the last couple of years. And the availability of resources has changed dramatically. When I first arrived 4 years ago, I placed an ad in Gazeta Wyborcza, got about 300 applicants, interviewed about 30 or 40, and hired my first course staff members with no problem. These days, if I were to take out an ad in Gazeta Wyborcza, I'd probably only get 2 or 3 CVs, and at that I wouldn't even interview any of them. I have to use much more, I have to work through users groups, through personal associations and such to find good talent, just because there's so many new entrants into the market. And I'm sure that's a trend that's going to be rolling further and further east as time goes on, and as more and more international players come into these areas and start sucking up local talent. So do you find that to be a significant factor in your expansion plans?
Yeah, for us, it's kind of, I would say that from the main problem with resources and with talent is of course engineering, and this is the big thing. But kind of what helps us a bit, and I confirm your experiences, this is the same for us. Our way of running operations in terms of engineering is having one engineering center and an IT center in Poland. And it's kind of, yeah, we are able now to attract still successfully attract some talented people by just being much wider, much broader, much bigger in Poland. So it's a kind of, that way. Probably it would be very hard to approach the talent here with having this a bit smaller operations. And we also learned some things during these years to really make it better in terms of just searching for engineering power. We also had some mistakes on the road that we take some lessons from, like the fact that you mentioned. Probably, it's something that we are experiencing in this region after joining the European Union. Very fast growth of salaries. So it kind of, with engineering, we couldn't really keep up, and we had a problem one time that we had to really rise their salaries very significantly. So I would just recommend to really monitor the situation not be to not really find yourself in the situation that you had to do this one-time change, but more like constantly change. But this is the specifics of local marketing.
Plus, there are a lot of high-quality people at their IT center in Poland, so you can find them there. Any comment from
Yeah, this is what I've done.
Well,
I think the problem of lack of talented and experienced developers is very common in Poland. I know we have such problems, but I'm not dealing with these problems directly. I know from some companies in Slovakia, top web developers, they have these problems. Sometimes they offer people even high wages, but they simply do not react to any job advertisements. They are happy where they are, and even though you offer them more money, they don't send a CV. In Gemius, we try to work with talented people at the time when they still study. We organize internships. This way you are able to give people really deep information about the company. Usually they are willing to stay in the company for next 2 years, even though the salary can be from the beginning lower what your competition offers. But if you operate and develop state-of-the-art technology, they realize it and they know they can learn on it. Of course, at the end you have a problem to keep these people, because once they get some knowledge, their price rises, and again you have the same problem.
Okay, Adam, do you?
So it's a little unfair for me to give you advice with a Google hat on, because I don't have some of the same challenges as a startup, but I used to be a venture capitalist, and I think you have to think a little bit more innovatively about your problem. And one of the key drivers to attract talent in a startup should be that you can, as an individual, participate in something that hopefully will change the dynamics of the market, and you're playing a more direct role, a broader role, and you'll be compensated through that role through stock options or things like that. And I think you have to focus on the incentivization schemes that are less salary driven and more incentive driven and upside driven and changing the world driven, if you like. And I think that's partly the structures that you put in place, the compensation packages that you put in place, but also you defining a company culture, a culture that is attracting innovative people, that is building a company that is going to make a difference in the world, and branding and marketing yourself as that player. And then you can do practical things as well. I mean, you can look very carefully at what skills you have in-house and decide what things you need to outsource and not outsource. I mean, already now, you go talk to Roman Stanek, one of your fantastic innovators and entrepreneurs in this country, and he's outsourcing to Vietnam. So you have to think a little carefully about what core skills you want to keep, even in Central and Eastern Europe, and what you can outsource even further. But ultimately, I believe it's about building an image of a company that people want to go to as an engineer and believe in they can make money in the end by staying with that company and getting options as opposed to pulling a salary.
Okay. Thanks, Ian. Do you want to react? I suppose that answers the question? That answers the question, right?
It isn't precisely what I asked. I wasn't concerned about my own company. I was concerned more about the making relocation decisions and then expansion decisions.
Okay. We don't have the translation. So, you want to ask an additional question?
No, I think my question was half answered. I understand.
Half answered is okay. If it was quarter answered, I would ask you for additional. Anybody else up for a question? Yes.
I have one question. Tell me why I can hear only a little bit about states like Germany or England, and I can't hear about states like Spain or Greece. Maybe it seems everything is turning around Poland. Maybe Andrzej can answer. Thank you.
So, I'm not sure if the question is clear enough. Why do you hear so much about Germany and the UK and you don't hear about Spain or Greece? Does anybody have any information